Hey going guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. Um, just doing my normal Thursday night stream. Um, as always, just be going through stuff that I've picked up either over the week or at conventions or at shows, and just showing some cool stuff or stuff that I think is cool. Um, so we'll start off with it's been a pretty light week since last week in pickups. As I said on last week's stream, my weekly pull list is done as my local comic shop has decided not to do floppies anymore. So I don't think I'm going to continue doing a weekly pull list and just pick up things as I choose and as I want to. But over the last weekend, hello, Christina. Um, Over the last weekend, there was a local garage sale that had been posted on Facebook and was coming up a few times every time I looked, but there was no real details on it until a few days before. And it happened to be a father and two sons just doing a sale out of one of their houses and had a lot of cool old school stuff, some comics, some toys, collectibles of all sorts, and I picked up some stuff. A lot of it was action figures and um, collectibles, I would say, leaning more towards. Um, the gentleman who, the father who was the main person doing the sale, seemed like a really nice guy and seemed like an old school collector who's been collecting for a while. Had some cool figures. I didn't actually buy this, but he gifted it to me because of all the other stuff that I ended up buying from him. So, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, old school figure. Now, it's pretty big. I'm going to say it's probably about 12, 13 inches high with a lot of articulation. So the bottom leg, the middle leg. So the leg spins in four different directions, but obviously the feet don't. Moves at the hips, moves at the waist. So this was a cool figure. Um, I will have to have a play around with it and see what I can do with it. But we got an old school Wolverine figure. Also gave me an old school X-Men from 2009, sorry, keyring Wolverine. But one of the main things I did see posted when they were posting some stuff were old school X-Men figures, and most people know that I'm an X-Men fan, and I think I'm slowly leaning towards solely becoming X-Men driven in my collection. So there was a few things they had that I really wanted, but some random pickups that I got on the day. So um, I've heard of these things before, and this isn't for my collection, but I just bought it because I thought it was cool, and I might give it to my niece. So we have a Marvel Electra Barbie, old school, um, pretty cool box, cool artwork. So Marvel Mattel Barbie. So I picked that up, and this is one of the things that I seen and decided to go have a look at the show to pick up at the sale. So it is Toy Biz Giant Size X-Men collectible. So this is a 6-figure box set. So when you open up, you have the 6 figures. Let's see. I'm gonna put on my light. Hopefully gives a better view. Let's see. Looks different. So the 6 figures you have in here, obviously Banshee, Thunderbird, Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Sunfire. So this is the giant size X-Men collection. You can see on the top here it has a bit of information about all the characters, and for an old school action figure set, action figures look really cool. So I remember seeing these things as a kid, but never really buying them. Thank you, Christina. So let's see. This is a 1998 set of figures. So came out just after the X-Men cartoon finished. So I seen that and I thought it was pretty cool. Grabbed it. Now, I'm not a big Marvel Legends collector just because I don't think I can keep myself from pulling them out of the boxes. And once I pull them out of the box, they'll just end up everywhere. So I normally buy them already loose when I do buy them. But the gentleman had a few sets there and I just had to grab them. So we got Marvel Legends, Urban Legends. So it's a bit hard to see. Now we got Daredevil in the top corner, Punisher. Thank you very much for that, Christina. White suit, Elektra, and Spider-Man. Now, I initially went because I seen one of these boxes and it was an X-Men one that I wanted, but I didn't know about the other boxes. So you got an Urban Legends, has some details about the characters and their strength, intelligence on radar, and then a bit of information, and there's a special poster book inside and the images of the posters that are in there. So considering that I had never seen this before, how you going, Locke? Thanks for jumping in the chat. So as I said, thought this was pretty cool, so I grabbed it along with the others. So this next one is Fantastic Four. So this is a five figure set, but technically 6 if you include Franklin. But you got Thing, Visible Woman, Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic, Doctor Doom, and then you have Franklin Richard and Herbie the Robot. So this is another set that I had never seen before. I know back when these were released, I wasn't big into collecting, and I only really followed the X-Men. But pretty cool box, and same thing, has special poster book, shows some of the posters. I thought this would be cool to have, especially with the release of the movie coming soon. But the main item I went to the garage sale for was the X-Men Legends, Marvel Legends box set. So you got Rogue, Beast, Magneto, Gambit, and Wolverine. So 3 of my favorite characters, and another 2 that break the top 10 for me. So very tempting with these boxes on deciding if I am going to pull these X-Men ones out or leave this sealed. As you can see, I don't tend to leave a lot sealed in boxes. Thanks very much, buddy. I tend to pull a lot of things out of boxes, and I'm trying my best lately to keep things in box. But obviously, when they're in box, they take up a lot more room and makes it a bit harder to display. So I will make a decision on if I am going to pull that set out or not, and then make a decision on what I'm going to do with those last 2 sets. So the last 2 things I got from this sale. So these are going to be an AOK for another member of the community, but we have some Spider-Man Marvel Masterpiece art card books. Now, I will have to admit that I'd never seen or known that the cards were on books. So I'm not sure if the book came before the card or the card came before the book. But we have Marvel Masterpiece, and then we have another Spider-Man Marvel Masterpiece. So I'm guessing most people will know who these are going to be AOK for. Christina, just we'll try and hide it from him until he sees them. So, but yeah, it was something different and something cool that I hadn't really seen before, and thought the person would like him, so I picked them up for him. So it's coming to the season now for us where it's just going to be show after show after show. And as much as I love going to shows, obviously I can't go to every show and buy everything that I would love to buy from these shows. So trying to be a little bit more selective on what I actually grab and what I plan on focusing on as a collection. So, trying to give myself some set goals. And as I said last week, not doing a pull list is going to make it a little bit easier for me to focus on just doing the things I decide. I'm two options deep in having starting the Justice League run, which I will want to try and complete now. And I think, as I said earlier, focus on my X-Men collection and really start to get a fair amount of the X-Men stuff. So more of the toys, the figures, the statues. As you can see, I've already got some in the background, but try and get it where the bulk of my cabinets are X-Men and be a little bit more refined in what I'm collecting and searching for. So we will see how that plays out. If I can actually stick to my guns and collect the things that I say I'm going to collect, or if I start going all out and buying random stuff like I have a tendency to do. Thank you very much, Christina. I have my stages where I can keep myself controlled for a little bit and I only get the stuff I want, and then I go to a show or a store and I'll see something cool that's different and I end up just buying it to say I have it in my collection, which is what sort of happened with a lot of the stuff I have in the background. But being a seller and hopefully getting back into the rhythm of attending shows as a seller, because it's been probably I think 8 months since I've sold at a show. I think the fact that everything is just building up and sitting there, because obviously you keep getting new stock for a store, and if you're not doing big shows where you're moving a lot of stuff, inventory gets built up and it just sort of makes it a little bit difficult to try and collect for yourself. So hopefully be doing a show in about 4 or 5 weeks, and move some stuff, and then a few more shows before the end of the year, and it'll get me back into the routine and the mindset for collecting and moving stuff on again. So, but we just got, I would say, a big guest announced for our shows in Evangelina Lilly. I think that's how you pronounce her name. So Wasp from Outmount, who is going to be doing some of our Australian shows, not the local show we have here in Melbourne, but the Sydney and Perth show, which is a pretty big pull for us, considering that we don't get a lot of the bigger names here too often. They come scattered. So I'm hoping that the other shows that we still have to come in Melbourne, the two bigger shows that we have left, are trying to at least get some of these bigger guests to make our shows, I say, fun and interesting, Now, for me, it'll be fun and interesting if there's guests that I'd like to see. And I know you can't have guests that you want to see at every show all the time. So they have to cater for all the people that come through the doors. But it just seems like lately a lot of our shows are catering for anime fans and uh, voiceover people. So not just anime, but like cartoonish stuff and things like that. And they're not really focusing on artists or creators or actors in in the stuff that I'm really interested in. And it's sort of it's difficult when you've been to bigger shows in America and then you come and compare our shows to them. So we do some things different and good, which is always good to see, but we just don't get the actors and the creators and those big names here as easily as we can see them there in the States. So, but all right, let's see. Now, the our local, well, I wouldn't say, well, my local show, because it's the closest one to me, is past, but we have a new show that's attempting, not a new show, so an old show who's attempting a new venue and a new format of show. Um, I will put the link in the description of Simple Simon's video from the last show they hosted, as I wasn't able to attend. But they're attempting to do a show on a bigger scale, which is a show that I'm hoping to attend as a solo. And they're doing it at the showgrounds, but they're doing the format of hosting it like a toy fair more than they are doing it a big show, which I think is great and can be cool and could really work out in Suller's favors. But doing such a big venue also makes it a little bit difficult in making sure you're getting people through the door and just overall logistics of being in such a big venue. So hopefully the show goes good and they have a lot of sellers and a lot of people coming through the doors wanting to buy stuff and it works out for everyone. But then there is, I think, in the next 3 months, I think we have a show every week within about an hour direction of each other, which is something that we're not used to. So we went from having one big show and say 2 or 3 smaller shows in a year to now having three nationwide shows, and then oh, this year alone, I think in the carding, anime, gaming, and collectibles world, we're gonna have maybe 30, 30 smaller shows. So it's interesting times for collectors and collectibles at the moment, and it's just a matter of hoping and praying that you pick the right show to attend, and hope that you have the right stuff at these shows to sell. So trying to work out what my best options are and pick some shows to attend, and hopefully works out in my favor. But we'll see how things go. Well, being that I said it was pretty much a slow week, I didn't really overly pick up much, and there hasn't been much stuff dropping in the Marvel DC universe for me to chat about. I think I will cut the stream a bit short tonight. But thank you to everyone who catches the replay or who's watching live. And thank you to Christina and Locke for commenting. I'll be back next week. Hopefully have a bit more to show and pull out some other stuff. Should be getting a delivery come this week with some cool stuff in it that I'll have for next week's show. Click the like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.